Good morning, everyone. Thanks for attending today's webinar. We are discussing PanelView 5000 series, which is Rockwell's latest offering in industrial graphic terminals. My name is Bashir Bakur, and I am one of the automation specialists at Turtle & Hughes. If you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to ask. So basically today we are covering PanelView 5000 hardware, and we're going to be talking a little bit about the View Designer software, which is the software used for this PanelView 5000. And at the end we'll do a small little demo. So PanelView 5000, what is it? It's one of our newest operator interface featuring Premier Logix Integration. You can create applications for your Logix controllers and your PanelView 5000 in a single software package, being Studio 5000. This latest PanelView is our sleek new design with enhanced options and graphics. And please keep in mind that this is being sold alongside the PanelView Plus 7. So PanelView Plus 7 is not going anywhere. There are two versions, the 5310 and the 5510. The 5510 being comparable to Performance Edition if you're used to the PanelView Plus series. So let's just talk about some features of the PanelView 5000. 5510 has a wide array of screen sizes, has 2 ports for supporting DLR. You can see the specifications for the processor and RAM there. And likewise, 5310 is very similar, a little bit less array of screen sizes, but still nonetheless a wide array of screen sizes. Supports only one Ethernet port, so does not support DLR. And doesn't have a keypad option or a physical navigation button. So that's some minor differences between the two. A nice feature is the easy navigation of designing your screens in the PanelView 5000. If you use the PanelView Plus or really any HMI, you would have to create your navigation screens using buttons and go to this screen and do that. Here you just do it in View Designer. Depending on how you set it up in your Project Explorer, it will mimic on the HMI. So you see tank details A1, A2, A3. That just mimics whatever you set it up in your Project Explorer. And take note that that screenshot is from View Designer software. Very intuitive operation. You have something called the default system banner. This is already pre-configured, so you don't really need to set this up. It has information like notification, alarms, date and time, and then the screen navigation as well. And this can also be disabled or removed, because I had some customers asking about that. PanelView 5000 has nice diagnostics that let the user know if something wrong is happening. For example, I disconnect a network cable. The HMI will have a pop-up like you see here, and it will give you an error to help you troubleshoot or diagnose what the issue is. So let's just talk a little bit about View Designer features. And again, View Designer is part of Studio 5000. So if you have Studio 5000, you already have View Designer. So some features of the View Designer, the scalable vector graphics, optimized Logix integration, just an easy environment to work with. Here is a full screen of the View Designer. You have your Project Explorer on the left top left pane. You have the Properties pane on the right, your toolbox for all your graphics, your built-in elements, and your canvas for creating your screens. And then you have the Graphic Explorer. So how do we increase productivity in View Designer? What makes this different than other HMI solutions? So let's say I'm an OEM and I decide that, initially I was using a 10-inch screen for my machine, and now I want to scale that up to 12 or 19 inches. Rather than have to redo the whole entire project, PanelView 5000 has what we call scalable vector graphics, which will scale up to bigger screen sizes without sacrificing resolution or clarity, or so it won't look pixelated or fuzzy. And that takes care of it for you automatically. So let's go next. And you have just better looking graphics. Pumps looks better, fans, tanks, gauges just look more clear and more up to standard. There's a concept called add-on graphics, similar to add-on instructions in your Logix designer, where in add-on instructions you basically create your own block or your own block of code. Here you use different graphics, put them together, and that becomes a graphic of its own, and you can use this in any part of your screen without having to redo the same add-on graphic. So extended tag properties. In the beginning of View Designer, you're asked to load your ACD file. Your ACD file is your file from Studio 5000 for your controller. That contains information from the tags, the data types, the alarm settings. All that will be shown in the View Designer. It'll have that information. So that's the integration we were referring to in the beginning, where you have that Premiere, same software for both HMI and controller. Similar to Logix Designer, you can run multiple versions of View Designer side by side, 2, 3, 4, whatever, etc. versions of View Designer. You can also convert to a more updated version. So if I'm running version 3 and I decide I need to update that to version 5, I can easily convert it. It's not a problem. Data login is obviously supported here. You can change your sample rate, the log duration. It's very simple to set up a data log in View Designer. You can log to an SD card or a USB thumb drive. Historical trending. A pre-configured trend is not required to display log data. It's extremely easy to use. If you're logging data and have a trend showing the tag, it will start showing the log data on the trend. So even if it's real-time data is not available, the historical data will show. So emulator capability is a new feature that lets you test your project without downloading to a terminal. So to run an application, you just hit the emulate button in the View Designer, and it actually builds a project, and it's basically showing a PC-based version of your PanelView on your designer box. So it will show the keypads, it will show the navigation button, and it basically uses a skin of your actual PanelView hardware, and it'll look just like it. I can use my mouse to click on number 7 or the navigation bar or anywhere on the screen. You can do pretty much anything you can with the actual physical hardware. The only thing you can't do is data logging, for obvious reasons, is not being able to plug in a USB or SD card to your emulator. And in the beginning of your View Designer, it will ask you to link your emulator to your controller via Ethernet. So PanelView 5000 supports VNC. The PanelView 5000 also has a built-in VNC server that allows you to connect to your terminal through a VNC client or your phone or tablet to help you either troubleshoot or just to see what's going on. You can set it up for read-only access or read-write access. And there's passwords, for you to set that up. So you can also load updated projects to your View Designer via SD card or thumb drive. Say you're an OEM and you want to update your HMI screen, and your customer doesn't have View Designer. You can email them the file, they can put that on their SD card or thumb drive, and then update the project of your PanelView 5000. I believe also in version 6, which is stated to be released soon, you can update firmware of your PanelView 5000. So let's say it has version 5 and then version 6 comes out, you can update your version firmware and your project. So how do we enhance the Logix integration, right? You have what are called Logix-based alarms. These alarms are set up in your controller, right? They hold alarm configurations and state conditions. Displaying the state conditions will trigger on an HMI without constantly asking for information. And the alarms require no additional configuration in the HMI. They basically just work with no configuration whatsoever. Let's give you a small little demo here. So you have an alarm and it's triggered in your HMI. So I can disable it. I can acknowledge the alarm in my PanelView 5000. So really, really easy, and that's that whole enhanced integration. Language switching. Applications can now be developed in one language and easily translated to other languages to support more localized manufacturing. I believe 40 languages are supported here. You have high-speed button control. What that is basically the PanelView 5000 has a priority 1 connection as opposed to a class 3 connection. Class 3 is standard comms. This allows the HMI to initiate operations with a high degree of precision. The button basically provides HMI with quick response. I believe it's sub 100 milliseconds, and that's good for applications like jogging, where you just need that near instant response time. So let's basically just compare, the different series of 5000. I know we touched on this before, but just to reiterate, PanelView 5310 is the touch only, whereas the PanelView 5510 has touch, the physical navigation button, and has keypad options. Of course, DLR being supported only in the 5510. And we have some limitations on screen, being the 5510 supports more screens, more alarms. Logix-based tags are supported in either, and most importantly, this will only work with your Control Logix L7s, L8s, your Compact Logix 5370s, 80s, and 5480. VNC is supported in 5310 and 5510, and yeah, everything else is the same. So right now we're going to jump into a small demo in View Designer. So I'll just take a brief moment to switch to show my main screen. Desktop. Is my screen shown?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, thank you. Right, so right now I'll go to my desktop, and I will open up Studio 5000. So Studio 5000, I can now create a new project, and it could be either Logix Designer or View Designer. In this case, I will be using View Designer, and I will select this HMI. I will call it any name. Delete. Actually, demo. Delete. So, and I can choose a version. Right now, I only have version 5 installed, but I can, if I had version 3, 4, 5, I can select which one I need. So let's just say desktop, finish. And in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and use a different one that I have connected to it already, because I can, connect multiple versions of it side by side, like I can in Logix Designer. So let's wait for that first. Oops. Okay. All right. So in the beginning, you can call it a reference. I'm just going to call it Control Logix reference. And I'm asked to link an ACD file. And I will do that just as a demo. And then here is where I'm asked to link the HMI, the physical HMI, to the controller path. It's looking for an IP address. I don't physically have one now, so I can't do that. And it's asking me here to link my emulator to controller path. So my emulator needs to see the controller as well. So let's just cancel this for now. And let me open up my other one. So let's go back here to properties, and you can see I have my compact Logix reference. I'm linked to an actual ACD file here. You can see the HMI to controller path, which is not actually existent now, but it was. And you can see the same IP address that the emulator is connected to the controller. It has to be the same. I can see my usage. So I'm using 9 user-defined screens. I have 4 images. I have 1 PDF. I'm connected to 1 controller. Also, didn't mention that PanelView 5310 can only connect to 1 controller, whereas the 5510 can connect to 4 controllers. So here's my language, and let's click cancel. So let's go back to Project Explorer. I'll go to the main screen, which is this. I have a button here that links to something. So I can click here and see animations, events, go to user-defined test BB. So here are my user-defined screens that I can use to create my screens. So let's say I have this, right? And I want this to be shown here. I would have to right-click, new shortcut, and I can put it right here. So this is what I was saying in the beginning, where you have your navigation menu. You can create your layout over here. These are read, not editable, so they're read-only. Notice read-only. You do all your work here, and then you move them over here. What can I touch? Your toolbox is over here. Your data logging. So let's say here, right? I mentioned you can do the sample rate of 500 milliseconds, 1,000 milliseconds, and your log duration can be in units of days, hours, or minutes. This is the tag that I'm using for my controller. I want to show you a trend also. This is my trend. That was super simple to set up. I go to my traces here, and I am looking at this process variable tag. I have numeric displays, numeric inputs, and I can have add-on graphics over here, timers, data log. I can have an image and a PDF. I can display a PDF also in case my operator needs just some guide rather than have a paper printout or so. So documentation should be over here. So there's my PDF. And then you have obviously your system screen. You can have your settings, your alarm manager. So settings, let's click in. This is in your PanelView 5000. Yeah, it's just really easy to work in this software. So let's say screen here, mixer, storage, a trend, overview, screen 3, 1500. Okay. So yeah, that's basically View Designer in a nutshell. I'm going to go back to the presentation now. Presenting. Present. So does anybody have any questions, comments?
I think you kind of covered everything pretty well there. I'm sure my good friend Steve Ferlini has got questions.
Yeah, sure. I'll be just waiting for any questions. We have some time. And I will also show that very last slide We have a very good FAQ in the knowledge base that has a bunch of different questions, and some of them are really helpful. So, please feel free to look for that resource. And obviously, ab.com has a lot of documentation. We have at Turtle, we have a demo. If you'd like to, play with one of these, get a feel for it. I'm happy to schedule, any kind of hands-on.
And this presentation will be posted up on our Turtle YouTube channel. So if you want to go back and take a look at anything, or if there's somebody else in your group that needed to see it and couldn't make it this morning, we will be sending out the listing for that posting shortly.
Hey, Dwayne, it's Steve Ferliti here. I don't have any questions right now, but I know we have a few guys I think are watching this in the group, in our group here in Northvale, and if they've got anything they'd like to ask, I guess, ask away.
Yeah, and if the question pops up later, feel free to email me, reach out to me. I'm very happy to help. And
okay, thank you.
All right. Well, if there's no other questions, thanks everyone for coming in this morning and taking a listen. And stay tuned. As you know, we will be doing more of these broadcasts. So keep a lookout for your email, and don't be afraid to check out our website to find out what's scheduled up next. Thanks a lot.
thank you.
All right, thanks. Take care.